Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Dirtmasters, the review series where I'm evaluating the best and not so good points about each real rally car that's featured on Gran Turismo 6. So in this episode, as you can see, we'll be reviewing the rally version, the late stage rally version of Ford's Escort WRC car. It's based on one of the most widely loved and respected performance cars of all time, the Escort RS-WRC. And in the first part of its rallying use, it was a very successful car, but then it kind of petered off after that. It started to really show its age. So how does it perform on the game against cars which are both older and newer than itself? Well, let's go to the track and find out. Now, this Escort is an all-wheel drive car. It has a relatively compact chassis layout and a decent amount of power, just under 500 horses fully tuned. So performance is pretty good. Now, that said, it is still only on the same kind of level as most of the WRC cars in the game. So for acceleration, I'm going to give it a 3, which is pretty much average. It's not amazingly good, but it's definitely not bad. For low speed handling, I'm going to give it a 5, because although it does have some weight to it, thanks to the all-wheel drive, it is a very reliable handling car, and it really loves to be thrown into corners. For city tracks in general, I'm going to give this car a 4, because it's not perfect, but it is very, very good. So now let's see how it performs on a twisty, country-based track. Now, many all-wheel drive rally cars suffer from chronic understeer the faster you get, basically. So does the Escort suffer from this problem? Well, no, to be honest. It actually has really great handling throughout its entire performance range. So for high-speed handling, again, I'm going to give it a strong 5 because it is very good. For the brakes also, I'm going to give it a strong 5 because they do a fantastic job of scrubbing off all the car's speed, so much so that you can almost choose when you want to brake. They're that good. Overall, for country tracks, I'm going to give this car a 4, like city tracks, because it's not perfect, but it is very, very good, very user-friendly. As I've said with other cars, it's very forgiving. You can really chuck it around corners, and actually the car works best when you drive it like that. The car loves to be treated badly. It works at its best when it is. So that's it for our twisty country track. Now let's see how it performs on the most important track type of all, a dirt track. Now, as with country-based tracks, dirt tracks really do sort the pretenders from the really, truly usable rally cars. So how does the Escort fare on this, which is the most important, really, track type that we test these cars on? Well, I have to say, it performs brilliantly. It's one of the best dirt racing rally cars in the game, I would say. It's almost perfect. It's not quite perfect, but it is very close. And mainly, that is because of its sheer drivability. Now, unsurprisingly, it's going to get a strong 5 for drivability, because it's just such an easy car to get good times and to have a lot of fun with, and it's so user friendly. It's, for a 500 horsepower car, it's amazingly beginner friendly as well, thanks to its kind of chunky appearance, its chunky chassis layout. You can really throw it through corners, and because it's a relatively small car, it doesn't really take much correction to keep it on a good line. It holds sideways angles perfectly around corners thanks to the weight distribution, and it's just a joy to drive, really. It's a great car to drive. So overall, for dirt tracks, I am unsurprisingly going to give it a strong 5 because it is almost perfect. So that's it for a dirt track. Now let's finally see how it takes on a snow circuit. Now, as we've shown in this series before, just because a car is good on a dirt track, that is really no guarantee at all that it will perform well on a snow track. So does this Escort's brilliant drivability transfer over to snow circuits? Well, I would say yes. Now, to clarify, it's not as close to perfection on a snow track as it is on a dirt track, but that said, it is excellent to drive. Now, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 for snow tracks because it is very good. Now, the only reason why I'm not giving it the maximum 5, because I would love to give it the 5, but the reason why I'm not going to is because on a snow track, as we've mentioned before, you do need a flow. And this car does require more manhandling to really get that flow perfected on this track. Now, obviously, that depends on the driver, depends on the setup. But for dirt tracks, it just comes naturally for this car. It's easy. For a snow track, it requires a little bit, not much, but a little bit more work to get that real flow going. So it is very good, a 4 out of 5, but not quite perfect. And for high-end performance, I'm going to give it a 3, like its acceleration, because it's just your average straight-line performance rally car. So that's it for our track testing. Now let's go back to the garage for a roundup. So overall, the Escort is, to be honest, a superb rally car. Now, to many of you, I know that that will not come as a surprise at all, because at the end of the day, it is a legendary car, hugely popular in both road and rally versions. And for good reason. I mean, many legendary cars, as we saw from our review of the Stratos, just don't really, in the gaming world anyway, live up to those expectations. But the Escort really does. And although in real life it kind of became less competitive over its short rallying career, relatively short rallying career, in the game it's just as competitive now as it would have been back then. It's a great car to use. It's extremely user-friendly, very beginner-friendly, and as we said earlier on, it loves to be just treated badly. Just throw it through the corners, and really it's more about the driver's confidence than the car, because the car can do it. The car can actually perform better than you think it can as the driver, so you just need to trust the car's potential and basically just throw it in, and you'll just be surprised that the car will just hold its line through the corners. The brakes do not let you down, the grip doesn't let you down, and the performance is there when you need it. So overall, I would say, first of all, for its worst point, well, if I had to choose a worst point for this car, it would probably be just its slight lack of straight line performance against some of the more powerful models. But that's not surprising really, because at the end of the day it is just an equal plains WRC car. So you're not expecting it to be some Pikes Peak dominating machine. But I would say, yeah, that is probably its worst point. But for its best point, it's just its sheer drivability and user-friendly nature. It's so easy to get great laps and to have a really fun time in this car. Another great thing about it is that it's only 200,000 credits, so it is one of the cheaper top or higher level rally cars in the game, so it's great value for money as well. So I'd pretty much recommend this car to anyone, to be honest, who enjoys rallying. It'll serve you really well. Now, I'll put the specs, ratings and lap times in the video description, as always, so you can compare it to the other rally cars of the series. And overall, I'm giving this car, as a tabulation of all of its ratings, an overall rating of 4.3 out of 5, which is very respectable considering it does have a power disadvantage. So overall, I would definitely recommend that you give this car a try, and that's it for this review. So I'll see you next time, and as always, thanks for watching.